There's a song by Redman and Method Man. That's how the beginning of that song.
Taken from the top of the song by Medman and Method Man.
It's the beginning. I think is it the Blackout? I can't remember what the name of the song is. I'll have to.
Is that just Method Man and Redman, or is that a Wu-Tang song in general?
Just Method Man and Redman. Method Man and Redman at one point had a collaborative album, a duet, I guess is the proper term, and yeah, I like that song from it. But I'm terrible with, recall. I'm not Terrence, who has like this weird like photographic memory, particularly when it comes to dates.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember that song, and I enjoyed that song. And taking it from the top, tippy. Oh, sing it, daddy. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, all right, that's enough.
I mean, welcome to this video game podcast.
Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear an old man who don't know shit about music wax poetic about music.
I mean, this is a good lead into the podcast, because it is. If you thought last week was a barren news week, this week even more so. I literally went through Eurogamer to see if there were stories that I missed, and there isn't. And the only big story in the video game orbit is one that I hate to fucking have to talk about. But then again, we didn't get your takes on this last week, so maybe it's a good thing that we're getting to circle back around to the biggest news in gaming, and that is the trials and tribulations of one Dr. Disrespect in the game.
His name is Guy.
So actually, his given first name is Herschel, but he goes by Guy. Yes, Guy Bream is his name.
Wow, there is and no one with the name Herschel has ever said or done anything ridiculous ever. Be it Herschel Bream or Herschel Walker, everyone named Herschel is a well-adjusted human being.
Wow, Herschels really are 0 for 2 in the last couple of years here, aren't they?
I mean, I'd be a little pissed if my name was Herschel and my name is Micah. So, it goes to show you what. Look, we got to talk about this guy because he decided to not, just kind of keep it on the low.
And, so to rewind, Carrie and I talked about it last week. The news came out that Dr. Disrespect, when he was banned from Twitch back in 2019, it wasn't just from live streaming from a bathroom at, I think it was E3 or TwitchCon. I can't remember which event it was. But come to find out that he was also having text exchanges through Twitch's DM service with a minor. And that's why that happened. So at the time of recording last week, Dr. Disrespect had not given his side of the story, had not given his statement to these allegations. And now he has. He made the really wise decision to tweet through it, as the kids say, which is never a good idea. And here's the best part about this statement that he made, right? The statement that he made is literally, like, I don't know. I feel like I should just read it verbatim. And then we'll circle back and talk about it. And of course, go ahead.
Do you know what this guy sounds like? Because I've never heard him speak before. He has an interesting look, so I've heard the name and I've seen the face. He reminds me of Pablo Schreiber, circa Orange is the New Black, when he played Porn Stash. And I guess that's the look he's going for. But I've never heard him speak. So if you could do me a favor, if you've heard him speak before, if you could do an impression of his voice so that I can get the full impact of this tweet.
Okay.
That would be much appreciated.
So I've only heard him speak in snippets, and his voice doesn't ring in my head, but I will do my impression of what you would think a guy that looks like he does in character sounds like. And by the way, this tweet was really in character, essentially. So let's cut the fucking bullshit. As you know, there's no filter with me. I've always been upfront and real with you guys on anything that I could be upfront about, and I'm always willing to accept responsibility, which is why I'm here now. First and foremost, I do want to apologize to everyone in my community, as well as those close to me, my team, and everyone at Midnight Society Game Studio. A lot of people have been left in the dark about what happened yesterday with Midnight Society, and we made the painful decision collectively to have me step down. Our team is full of incredibly talented and good people that have high career ambitions and families, and I'd never want to jeopardize the culture we've carefully crafted. Everyone has been wanting to know why I was banned from Twitch, but for reasons outside my control, I was not allowed to say anything for the last several years. Now that 2 former Twitch employees have publicly disclosed the accusations, I can now tell you my side of the story regarding the ban. Were there Twitch whisper messages with an individual minor back in 2017? The answer is yes. Were there real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. These were casual, mutual conversations that sometimes lean too much in the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more. Nothing illegal happened, no pictures were shared, no crimes were committed. I never even met the individual. I went through a lengthy arbitration regarding a civil dispute with Twitch, and that case was resolved by a settlement. Let me be clear, it was not a criminal case against me, and no criminal charges have ever been brought against me. Now, from a moral standpoint, I'll absolutely take responsibility. I should have never entertained these conversations to begin with. That's on me. That's on me as an adult, a husband, and a father. It should have never happened. I get it. I'm not perfect, and I'll fucking own my shit. That was stupid. Now, with all that said, don't get it fucking mistaken. I've seen all the remarks and labels being thrown around so loosely. Social media is a destruction zone. I'm no fucking predator or pedophile. Are you kidding me? Anyone that truly knows me fucking knows where I stand on those things with those type of people. Fuck that. There's a different level of disgust that I fucking hate even hearing about. Don't be labeling me as the worst of the worst with your exaggerations. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. And it goes on from there. Now, here's the best part about it. In his statement saying that, hey, I did nothing wrong, he admits the wrongdoing.
Yeah, he says he did. Yeah, okay. It reminds me of this one clip of Boris Johnson where someone asked him straight up. It was like Boris Johnson was bullshitting his way through a conversation, and then someone just finally asked enough whys, right? Mm-hmm. And he was like, do you know what Title IX actually says? You know, I'm making that. Do you know what this actually says? And Boris Johnson, with all the conviction of Jay talking about politics, flatly said, no. And it's just like, yo, but like, you just said you knew what it was. You just said you knew what it was. And like, but he's got that like thing where it's like, yo, if you say something with enough confidence, mm-hmm. right? If you say something while holding your big brass balls, right? People will believe you.
Oh, it's Donald Trump being like, I never said very fine people about the Charlottesville event. I'm like, bro, we have a videotape of you doing it.
Right. There's an infamous tape of you doing it, like that everybody played. Yo. Like, this is ridiculous. Look,
so that was the best part. The other best part, and you don't know about this probably. So earlier in the statement, he says, were there Twitch whisper messages with an individual minor back in 2017? So he published the statement that way originally, went back and edited, because he has a blue check mark on Twitch, on Twitter, went back and edited the word minor out, and then people were calling him out on the fact that he edited the statement to remove the word minor, so he edited it back in again. It's like, bro, we can see you doing this.
Come on, yo. Like, the fact, like, okay, man. Okay. All right. I mean, look, the fact that you're embarrassed by it, like the fact that, like, okay, you're taking responsibility, I guess, or accountability. One, what are you going to do about it, right? You can just be like, oh, my bad, right? Like, and I don't know, man. This is a weird set of paragraphs. And you're right, it does keep going on. Wow. Also, like,
why are you? Why? Yeah, let's say why? I mean, and I guess I don't know. Like, where does the man Herschel Bream and the character Dr. Disrespect begin? You know what I mean? Like he's probably kayfabing outside of the stream a lot of the time, I would imagine.
Yeah, man, like you can't do stuff like this in character, yo. Like this is serious, man. Like don't let's cut the fucking bullshit. Okay, I did do this and I apologize, but I don't know, man. Someone named Doctor Disrespect doesn't seem like the type of guy to apologize for things. Like if you're gonna keep keep the man and the gimmick like separate, yo. Like you don't want to you got to keep your worlds apart. Okay, like if George Costanza has told us anything, you got to keep your worlds
Yeah.
apart.
And for the record, like people like you know, at the time that he was having these exchanges with this girl, he would have been like 35, I think. So
Jesus,
he would have.
how old is this guy?
Now he's your age, I think. Like he's in his early 40s.
God.
But yeah, super gross. And again, like nothing, and it's funny because I heard this comparison made on another podcast, but I think it's the most apt comparison. Like he's like, hey, like I never even met this, like I ended up never even meeting the girl, and it's like, yeah, like because Twitch stopped you from meeting her, like they intercepted you and made sure that you didn't. That's like. You know,
that's
when
the Chris Hansen
it's the Chris Hansen technique, yes, where it's like where you know he catfishes the fucking pedophile, and the pedophile shows up with like a fucking 6-pack of wine coolers and shit like that. It's like, hey,
and condoms, yeah.
yeah, what were you thinking was going to be happening here tonight? Like, oh, you're just you know, just hanging out. Yeah, I don't really know what was going on or what I expected to have happen here tonight.
Look, man, I'm not gonna call this guy any names, right? Because like technically nothing happened, but in this case, being technically clear is not the best type of clear.
Well,
Like,
and
this is
and we got a follow up on the story on Friday. A anonymous former Twitch employee states that he did know that the person he was sending sexually explicit messages to was a minor.
okay.
Yeah.
Now look,
And he sent graphic messages to them afterwards, regardless of the fact that he knew that fact. The quote was, I recall that Dr. Disrespect was made aware by the individual that they were underage during the conversation, after which he indicated that this was no problem and continued on.
okay, look. First of all, why on God's green earth does any adult want to talk to a child? And this is I mean, like, I don't
I can
even wanna talk to my
think of one reason, Mike. It involves a word that you don't want to say because everything's alleged in this case. We don't have any definitive proof.
But I'm not even saying in that respect. I'm saying about literally anything. like because children are dumb, guys. Like they have everything is like the weight of the world is on their shoulders.
According to you and Jay, you don't even want to talk to adults that are out of your age bracket based on the last Black and Black cinema episode.
White. I don't want to talk to anybody 10 years younger than me.
Right.
So I can't imagine. And look, I like kids, man. I do. I think I like hanging out with kids. I like being goofy. But like, come on, yo. Like, I don't want to sit there and have any type of conversation with any kids, especially a fucking teenager, yo. I am not looking forward to the teenage years. And so yeah, it's just weird that any adult would want to just talk to a random child about anything. And second of all, come on, bro. Like, you know better, man. You all know better. This is gross. Like, in all seriousness, man, like, get some fucking help. And you know, I don't know, man. The even like the most minuscule amount of fame can corrupt people. Like nobody, like my wife doesn't know who this guy is, right? Like he is famous to a point, and I can only imagine if, like what people are actually like if they had like actual like notoriety and actual fame.
Well,
I
and
don't
it
know.
doesn't help that he spends
Weird.
like the vast majority of his time surrounded by
Yeah, sycophants and
like
yes
stands
people.
essentially,
Yeah, man.
and those same people are I'm sure defending him in online spaces right now. You know, like, oh, this is
Yeah.
alleged, or he did. It's very uh, Trump like be or Trump sycophant Republican behavior. Like that's the closest allegory that I have. It's the I need a daddy complex that Jay and I like to talk about all the time.
Yeah, man. This is just this is just fucking weird, man. Like it's just weird, all of it. Every aspect about it, from the way this dude looks with his, I guess that's a wig,
Hmm.
um, to like deep down, he's just like a big old nerd, right?
Hmm.
And like, and there's something with like, there's something with, yo, you got to put the video games down for a while, yo. Like you just do, and I can't believe I'm saying that because I used to be like, my dad used to tell me that shit all the time. Like he got so mad I was playing video games so much. He took my Nintendo 64 and spiked that bitch on the ground because toxic masculinity reigned supreme in the 90s in black households. And but like he was right, right? Like you got to kind of put this stuff down. You got to step away from this stuff. If you are not well adjusted enough, if you don't have enough real friends, like you can tell who has real friends
Hmm.
who do this like online popularity thing. You could tell who has real friends and who has yes men, right? Maximilian has real friends who will check him,
Hmm.
right? This guy obviously does not.
Yeah,
And it's just
you see a similar thing in sports as well, right? Like you see people who are not used to having a lot of money overnight start having a lot of money, and you start to get like hangers on, and it leads to sometimes having like entourages that lead you to do silly things or bad things, and it's one of the things that like LeBron James, for example, never really waded into that because LeBron James like only surrounds himself with like the people that he grew up with, essentially.
right,
And so
right.
like you never see LeBron James involved in any like crazy nonsense or stuff like that. Like he's been a relatively scandal-free, high-profile athlete for his entire career. So,
Yeah, that's one of the reasons people hate him, yo. Like I feel like it is. I don't know. I don't think he's the greatest or whatever, but like but yeah, he's been scandal free, does nothing but good things. That's why they're like, uh, you know what? The bad things he does is make bad movies, right? Like it will be in bad movies, right? Like that's about it. But
I mean, the decision was also like an all-time example of extreme
yeah,
navel gazing,
yeah,
like that was pretty bad. But no, like I'm sure Doctor Disrespect is a guy who, again, similarly found himself in a situation where, he had a lot of very little notoriety, and then had like all and it's not like he's like he was sort of known. Like I think he used to be a community manager on the community team for Call of Duty games back in the day. Like that used to be his day job, but that's not streaming to thousands of people every day and making millions of dollars from first Twitch and now YouTube, and now I don't probably Kick because I think YouTube demonetized his channel based on these allegations. But he's taken a step away to let things cool down a little bit, but then he'll be back
yeah.
with fire and
I hope
brimstone. I'm sure.
I hope he takes some time away to kind of like work on himself a bit, right? Like I can only imagine how intoxicating it must be to have people hang on your every word, right? Thousands upon thousands of people, right? Like no disrespect to our audience, I'm sure you are I'm sure you have the bass turned up in your headphones as you listen to my dulcet tones talk about video games. But like to be able to captivate an audience is that's a form of power, and it's that's why Trump is so good
Hmm.
at what he does, and he don't want to give it up. He don't want to be president. He doesn't. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to do the work. He wants to be president
That's damn
so he
true.
can have right. He wants to be president so he can have the country look at him, and it's I don't know, man.
And
I
that, and,
don't
that,
know.
and I guess that's another thing too. Like if you were not that anyone listening to the show is, I'm sure, to that level of sycophancy, but if you're like, and this doesn't just apply to Doctor Disrespect, this applies to any like YouTuber or content creator or celebrity or whatever that you follow or that you're a fan of or whatever. If your immediate response when you hear something bad about that person that they did is a knee jerk reaction to be like, nah, it can't be true, impossible, like that, like re-examine your your parasocial relationship, because your knee jerk reaction should not be it's impossible that this person that I enjoy could have possibly done this, because it is very possible that that's the case.
And I get it. You don't want to come off. You like this person. Maybe you're an actual good human being, and you like this person, so you want to think that like you like good people. But like, and I'm not saying this guy's bad, right? I'm implying it. I'm not saying it, right? But yeah, you're right. You're right. You need to kind of. I don't put anything past anybody. Um, if something bad happens to someone that I like, I say, well, damn, that fucking sucks. And I'm not quick to throw people away either. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like you can come back, right? Jonathan Majors, wow, I really like that guy in his acting. Wow, that shit sucks that he got himself into. Hope he can make it back. But I'm not dying on a hill. I'm not making excuses,
Yeah.
right? I just can't.
And look, we talk all the time about the complicated nature of separating art from artist, and how with some people it's easy to do and some people it's not, and for some people it's a very personal thing. Like again, the probably the best example is the fact that we can acknowledge that like Michael Jackson was probably a pedophile, and it was fucking gross, but I'm still gonna fucking bop to every single fucking Michael Jackson song that comes on the radio, 100%, because that just it's too ingrained in me to just to think about that when I'm listening to a Michael Jackson song. I don't think about that stuff. For other artists, it's impossible to divorce. Like it's very difficult for me, like for example, to watch like Mel Gibson stuff without knowing how much of an anti-Semitic, uber religious piece of shit that Mel Gibson is. For some reason, like that one sticks with me, and like Michael Jackson doesn't. Kevin Spacey, I can watch old Kevin Spacey shit, and it doesn't. I'm not reminded that he's a crazy fucking sex pest guy. I don't know why, but, but for some reason it just doesn't. So again, like it can be difficult sometimes to make that separation. You can still, I guess, like the Doctor Disrespect character while still acknowledging that he is to put it nicely, an incredibly flawed human being who probably needs to go away for a little bit and maybe longer, because again, this is not his first brush with self-made controversy on his
Yeah,
behalf.
man.
So,
And it looks like this guy's got a daughter too, yo.
yep.
Like, come on, yo. Like even like the most like lowbrow scummiest of dude has a change of heart when they have a daughter, right? Like
Well,
I've
again,
been
not if you're living the gimmick, Micah. Not if you're living the gimmick. So,
like I know guys who have treated. I have family members who've treated women like garbage until they had twin girls, and then he's just like, oh well, now I get it. Like, all right, I mean, I guess better late than never, but like, what happened to the previous, 28 years? Like, what? All right, man, get some help, bro.
yep. What a good time to take our first break of the show. We'll be right back with some more news. So, Micah, here's how deep to the bottom of the barrel we are scraping for news this week. The other notable story that came out is that we've apparently one of Nintendo's flagship characters might have been named something very different than they were. So, according to court documents that have surfaced from a 1983 lawsuit between Universal and Nintendo, it turns out that Donkey Kong was not necessarily the name that what Nintendo always planned on going with. So Universal sued Nintendo because they alleged that the Donkey Kong character that they created was too close to Universal's King Kong. And they lost that. Universal lost that suit. The judge in the suit, clearly declared that there's an obvious difference between the two characters. He says at worst, it's it's parody, satire, and part of the court records is they went through all of the different names that Nintendo had for this character. Some of them were like Funny Kong, Jack Kong, Steel Kong, Big Kong. They were definitely using Kong in the in the character. Kong Fighter, Kong Holiday, which is weird. The one that stood out to everybody though is that Donkey Kong could have been named Kong Dong.
Yeah.
And to which I say, one of the great sliding doors moments in history that we did not know about until these court documents resurfaced. Yeah. Can you imagine how the video game industry could have possibly been different if Nintendo's flagship game that literally put Mario on the map was called Kong Dong, Micah?
Yeah. And then Kong Dong, like, that would make a lot more sense as to why these two Italian guys fucking hate it.
Imagine if we would have gotten Kong Dong Country with a K. There's no way they would not have used the Mortal Kombat naming nomenclature in the mid '90s. It's like this is one of those things that just I just wish I could see what the alternate history looks like if we had Kong Dong leading the way in the video game industry.
Would Kong Dong have to be rated M for mature? Because
it would have ended up that way. Maybe Kong Dong would have been one of the feature games placed in front of the Congress during the mid '90s as the creation of the ESRB. We need to change this monkey's name because Kong Dong is too sexually suggestive.
That is hilarious.
How did that one make it past? I guess it didn't because that didn't end up being his name. But I'm just like, how was that a suggestion in the suggestion bucket?
I'm looking at some of these other names, man. I mean, some of these other names they're just as ridiculous as Donkey Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Like we just have heard Donkey Kong for 40 years, so it's like, all right, well that makes sense. But like I don't know, Giant Kong, like there's I mean that's, kind of pushing it, but like and then there are some that like I find hilarious, like Bill Kong. Like people who name their pets just like real regular, like this is my cat Steve. You know what I mean? Like Jack Kong. Like I'd even go with Jack Kong, but Bill Kong just seems like. But it fits though because he's got a tie on. You know what I mean?
That's true. He does.
Like I'm Bill Kong. Hey guys, I'm Bill Kong.
Bob Kong. Robert Kong, if you're feeling formal.
Yeah, I mean, William Kong. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's funny though.
Yeah. Fucking goddamn it! Like I said,
I robbed us.
would have been imagined. Would have been imagined. The documentary would have been called King of Kong Dong.
Yeah, man.
Would have been.
Think of all the porn stars. Think of all the porn stars who could have played off of fucking Kong Dong. It just I don't know, man. What would that big dancing black dude go by if Kong Dong were a thing, right? You know that dude I'm talking about? That there's a big dude who used to go by, what was it? He used to go by like something gorilla, like grooving gorilla or something like that. And he's a big dude, like he's a big black dude, like moving and gyrating and eating on camera and shit like that. It's a little embarrassing. Right? It's a little embarrassing. And he used to go by Grooving Gorilla because he kind of looks like a fucking gorilla. And people finally got to the kid and was like, "Look, man,
Don't
don't
do
go
that.
around, don't go around calling
Yeah,
yourself a fucking
don't do that.
gorilla, please." And he changed it to something I don't know. I call him Darky Kong because if he wants to, if he wants to refer to himself as a monkey or a gorilla, then I'm a accommodate him. I would not advise. I would not advise you or anyone that looks like
don't
you
plan.
to call him that.
I don't plan on repeating that, so don't worry about that. Oh my goodness. Jay was here. He'd say I'm not allowed to laugh at that joke. How dare he? Oh, one bit of layoffs to talk about this week, unfortunately. Ubisoft Toronto laid off 33 people at their studio. For some reason, their reasoning for this is to, quote, conduct a targeted realignment to ensure it can deliver on its ambitious roadmap. This is the studio that's developing the new Prince of Persia game that's coming out in 2026. I don't know how losing staff is going to somehow make your studio more productive.
Ubisoft Magic.
Okay, if you say
Or was
so.
that BioWare? Is that BioWare?
As BioWare Magic. Yeah.
Okay.
This is the studio that also did Far Cry's 5 and 6 and Watchdog Legion as well. So, yeah, thanks for those people.
So good.
Yeah. Only one game to talk about this week. So I've talked about Art of Rally before. This is the rally racing game that has a very simple graphical style, and but a very stylistic graphical style. Like it's very purposefully. I think when I talked about it the first time, I said it looks like, for some reason, the graphical style just evokes like IKEA for me. Like, for some reason, when I see the game, like that's the first thing that pops in my head. And I played it a little bit and I liked it, and I fell off of it. And I've recently returned to it because I was looking for like a really good controller racing game just to play on the Steam Deck for fun. And man, Art of Rally is actually just one of the best racing games I think that's come out in the last 5 years or so. The reason why is because, first of all, like, the game itself is a pretty cool kind of history through rally racing, from its origins in the 1960s to the modern era, which kind of, we got to the modern era of rally racing in the 90s, essentially. Kind of inspired me to learn more about rally racing. If you want to, like, drop your jaw at some of the things that we as a society allowed to happen in the world of sports, check out some YouTube videos on Group B rally racing from the 1980s, and gawk at how insane Group B was back in the day. But the game controls really well. It uses an isometric camera view, so you're kind of looking at things from like a 3/4 angle, but really zoomed out, which is good because in rally race, typically, for those that don't know how rally works, it's point-to-point racing on generally very auspicious terrain. So there's a driver, but then there's also a navigator that has a map of the area that essentially tells the driver, like, what types of corners and stuff like that are coming up, so they know to prepare for it, because they're going so fast, and a lot of the corners sometimes are so sharp that you don't have time to react to it unless you know it's coming. So the camera has to be a little zoomed out because they don't have a navigator in the car with you. You just kind of see what you're seeing on the screen there. But just really good. And also, the thing that is really impressive with this game from a graphical standpoint is, even though the graphics are simple, they're very beautiful. And the lighting in this game is tremendous, especially the way, like, the sun reflects off of, like, ice when you're in, like, winter areas, or how it kind of creeps over the horizon when you're in, like, a lot of mountainous terrain and stuff like that. It's really, really impressive. So I've put a lot more time in it, and I'm finding it really difficult to put down. I'm really bad at it. Like, I'm as far as ranking high in the leaderboards. I think for the most part, I'm averaging around like the 50th to 30th percentile in terms of my times on the different courses. But just kind of going through the campaign mode has been really delightful. And I would say if you're looking for a racing game that is a little easier to pick up and play, but will still give you a pretty stiff challenge, check out Art of Rally. It's like I said, it's a really good package for a pretty affordable price, and it's just a really like a good love letter to a style of racing that doesn't get as much play, especially in the U.S. Very much. Not a lot of people I know that really follow rally at all. And rally racing can be really fun. Very different than like circuit racing.
Ooh.
So
Yeah, I'm looking at images of it. It looks great. Like I love the art style. It reminds me of this Apple arcade game that I used to play that before it got taken down called Agent Intercept, which was like basically Spy Hunter. But no, this looks beautiful. I actually love it.
yeah,
Like this seems like a game that is like that the Switch was made for, right? Like a very unique art style that can take advantage of the hardware limitations that the Switch might have. Yeah, it looks good.
yeah. Audio is really good too. Like all the cars in the game are modeled after notable real life rally cars that are kind of famous throughout history, and they kind of took pains to make the engine sounds as accurate as they can without like being hyper accurate. But each car really does have like a distinct personality, not only in how it handles and plays, but in how it sounds as well as you go around. So pretty cool stuff. We're going to take one more quick break, and then we will be right back with the Dense Pixels post office. All right. If you are not a member of our Discord, you can join by going to densepixels.com/fans so that you can ask us questions every week in the Dense Pixels post office. I'm going to start by following up from last week where Mad Coco G asked about Revolution X and asking if it was ahead of its time. And Micah, since I know that you played Revolution X growing up, I just wanted to give you a couple seconds to opine on your memories of this monumental game in history.
Yeah, it was it was something. That was the Aerosmith game, right? And they had to like somebody like kidnapped Aerosmith or some shit.
Aliens.
And yeah, aliens, yeah, very humanoid looking aliens that were like black and yellow or something like that. I don't know, I can't remember, but yeah, I remember, and I remember hearing that music, and God, when was that? Was that before or after Armageddon?
Oh, it was before. It was before
Yeah, it
Armageddon.
had to be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember hearing stuff like that. Well, I remember "Walk This Way," which is where I first heard Steven Tyler. Is that his name? And then this game, well, I was like, oh, this music's kind of dope, right? And this was back in the '90s and in the '90s I didn't want nothing to do with white people in the '90s. Like it was, I didn't want to do nothing to do with their music. I didn't want to talk to them, nothing, right? Because I was a bigot back then, and but I was like, oh, okay, I kind of like this. I kind of like this music. You know what I mean? And yeah, it was like an on rails light gun game,
Yeah.
right?
Basically.
Yeah, yeah, that was cool, man. That was cool. I actually dug it. Speaking of light gun games, this is what happens when you get old, guys. You just go from one thing to the next. It is what it is. I took my son to Chuck E. Cheese for a birthday party, and there was a Halo like rail shooter there. And he was like, "Can I play this?" And I'm like, "Okay, like let's play. Like, yeah, let's play. Let's play video games together. Let's do it, right?" I figured this could be like a bonding moment, right? Like, okay, this is it. Like me and him, we gonna have something to do together, right? And don't play video games with your 5-year-old because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And it's really, really frustrating. Okay, you just gotta point the gun. You see that's called a reticle. A reticle? That's a reticle. You point it and you shoot the aliens, and you just shoot everybody. Just well, how do you shoot? You hold the button, you hold the trigger, and you shoot. What's a trigger? Oh, this thing. You hold it and you point, and then he's just holding it, and then he's just pointing up at the ceiling, and it's like you got to reload. You got to reload. You know, like I don't have to go. What? Oh, no, reload. Hit that button, and then he doesn't know what to do. So I'm reloading his. I'm dying. It's a very frustrating, an incredibly frustrating experience. Don't bond with your children. Which again, like I had to talk to him, right? I had to. I had to talk to him, and I didn't want to. So, what are you doing,
Something to
Doc?
be said for how formidable for us growing up the Nintendo Zapper was
Yeah, man.
to be able to learn
We
these
know how
things.
to.
So
Yeah, we know how to work guns. Damn it,
anyway,
we're American.
Film Wander asks, so Xbox owner here, apparently change.org has a petition to put Marvel vs. Capcom classics on Xbox Series S and X. Frankly, I think it's stupid, and it's above the initiative's head and even Capcom. Microsoft just ain't supporting Xbox One like it used to, and isn't much into physical media like Sony and Nintendo. It's kind of a low-key miracle Resident Evil Remake 4 is on the Series X. It's a big ass L, they gotta own it. My question is, what foolhardy position would any of you all initiate in the hopes it happens? Not referring to Marvel vs. Capcom, but some other long shot idea. I mean, I know what Carrie would say if she was here, so I feel like I have to represent, get Camelot to make Golden Sun 4.
Her golden son. That's her white whale, man. You're never
Yeah.
gonna get it. You're never gonna get it. What foolhardy position would we? Oh, petition.
Yeah,
Sorry.
petition. I mean, for me, it's what I talked about a couple of weeks ago when I was upset at the Dragon Quest announcement. Where's my HD 2D remake of Final Fantasy VI? Change.org.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, playing the original pixel sprites are nice, but not like $17 nice, right? Like, get out of here. I don't know if I have any. I don't know if I have any foolhardy petitions because I try to be as practical as possible. They never work. Nobody cares, and there isn't anything that I want so badly that I would want to like sign for it, or and I mean like in the real world, right? Like, not even just like you know. I mean, yeah. I don't know if I can answer this question. I'm sorry. I like Film Wanderer. I like his movie reviews, and we have similar. I respect his opinion on movies, but this question I'm
Yeah.
afraid I can't answer.
I'll give you a non-video game one too. Even though I don't give two fucking shits about the NFL anymore, I still think it's bullshit that all the Baltimore Colts records and history moved with the team to Indianapolis. I think that shit should remain in Baltimore, as is the custom when teams move nowadays. Now when a team moves, they're basically like an expansion team almost in the new city, where they end up and they
Yeah.
leave the history behind. So
Yeah. Did all the Browns
all the Brown stuff stayed in Cleveland.
right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. What the hell, man?
It's fucked up.
This is look. You don't have to give somebody from Baltimore a reason to feel persecuted.
No, you
They
don't.
do that well enough. on
Oh
their
my
own.
gosh! What do you mean what do you mean they do that well enough?
I don't live in Baltimore no more.
We
I
do
don't live
that
in
well enough.
Baltimore no
No,
more.
you are still absolutely Baltimore by association. Get the fuck out of here. Plus, you live close enough to Baltimore that you know you're in the DMV. That counts. Daniel said, "What's the hardest game that you have ever beaten?"
The hardest game I've ever beaten is probably not a difficult game to beat. Like I've gotten some difficulty platinums, uh, before. The only one that comes to mind right now is Dragon Age. Beat Dragon Age on Nightmare from beginning to end, and it's not that difficult, especially if you play RPGs the way you probably should be playing RPGs. Yeah, that might be it. Because like Spider Man's not hard.
I said you're gonna put Dragon Age above Elden Ring in difficulty.
I forgot about Elden Ring, and Elden Ring is not. I, that's like my first Soulsborne game,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like Elden Ring is not. I don't think Elden Ring is very difficult if you play RPGs the way you're supposed to play RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it is. It's about like I mean most games are about pattern recognition, but you can also like cheese the shit out of that game and just grind, which is why I have like 300 hours in that game because I grinded the shit out of my character. And if you can grind, and I think you were talking about it last week, if you grind and use the tools that are available to you, like the Melania or Melania or
Mm-hmm.
whatever her name was, she wasn't that difficult, man. She really wasn't. Now, it was like a 2-on-1 fight with like the best katana in the fucking game, but it was like I'm not going around naked with the jar on my head like that one guy, right? But it wasn't it wasn't that difficult because like I get frustrated with difficult games.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I can beat it, anybody can beat it.
Trying to think. So mine would have to be something on the SNES or NES because back in the day, we didn't have a gajillion games to play.
Yeah.
We just had to grind out the stuff. I don't know, probably Earthbound. Like Earthbound was, famously difficult. Even though the game came with a fucking strategy guide, like that's how hard the game is. Where it's like, hey, like we can tell you how to do everything. It's still gonna kick you in the nuts constantly
Yeah.
because the game is just balls hard. And I beat that game when I was 11, so I think that's probably the zenith of my video game difficulty for me.
I don't think I've ever beaten a game from that era.
Really?
I don't think I have. Maybe Super Mario Bros.
You didn't beat Final Fantasy VI?
I'm not counting those.
No, you're
I'm
not counting
counting
this. Okay.
No, I'm counting stuff like Ninja Gaiden or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And
Well,
look,
I mean, to me, Team NT
Even Final
one's
Fantasy
bullshit. So.
even Final Fantasy 6, I didn't beat until I was older. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like the first time I played Final Fantasy 6 is when you introduced it to me.
Really?
Yes,
I,
because I
I
didn't.
feel like I should have known that. Oh, that's right. Famously,
Yeah, yeah.
famously,
I
yeah.
didn't know. And you opened my eyes, and now I'm a member of the cult of Final
Yeah.
Fantasy
Now you
6.
now you're six pilled. So.
Yeah, I'm from Baltimore and have a reason to feel persecuted. Where is my Final Fantasy 6 remake? But yeah, I don't know if I've ever. I can't remember off the top of my head if I've beaten a game from that era. Like I remember like Batman, right on
Hmm.
the 8-bit Batman and like TMNT and Battletoads and like I've played all these games. Sonic, I've never beaten a Sonic game. Um, I've beaten like Mario games, right? Like those were doable, but like I don't know, man. I suck. It's amazing I still play video games because I suck.
T-Wash says, in the new Street Fighter movie, what characters would you like to see? I'm hoping for a Sean cameo. Mike, so like this news came across the wire a couple days ago and just kind of shocked me that they're doing another Street Fighter live action movie. And I don't know
Yeah,
why.
yeah. I don't know why either. It's Sony is making this movie,
Hmm.
and a couple of the directors that they had, they were really good. We talked about it on the Nerd Apocalypse. I can't remember, so go back and listen to that. But they had recently dropped out. Um, yeah, I don't know. I This is one of those things where it's like we're doing it because we have the license and that Mortal Kombat movie that just came out was good enough to get a sequel.
Hmm.
Um, I remember Jay and Terrence, they didn't believe me when I said that people actually really liked that movie, but they did. Um, and it's not a good movie. To answer your question, Skullomania. How about that? How about Skullomania? Let's
I
just get
mean,
fucking weird.
so here's the weird thing, right? Like, do they go outside of like the Street Fighter 2 slash Alpha timeline here? Like, do we see a Luke in this movie? Do you know?
Oh God.
Is he like a main dude? Because he's the cover star of the most recent game. So you
Yeah,
know,
most people don't realize this, but every Street Fighter has a main character, and it's usually not Ryu, right? It's like Street Fighter 6, Luke is the main character. Street Fighter 5, Rashid is the main character. Street Fighter 4, Abel of all people is the main character.
he is. I thought it was.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Street Fighter 3, Alex is the main character. And I think Street Fighter 2 and 1 are, Ryu is the main character. But yeah, all the main characters change from game to game. You would never know it but like that's why Luke is on the cover, right, of 6. Um, so yeah, I don't. Maybe
Hmm.
they would. Like if this is supposed to be the future of Street Fighter, and Luke and Jamie and Kimberly are supposed to be the Ryu, Ken, and Chun Li of this new class. Um, maybe, but
I like I said, I would like to see just because I'd love to see them get just fucking weird with this movie, and they won't because they want it to make money. But it would be funny to see either Gil or Seth in the game or in the movie, and how that would be portrayed. So
oh my god, oh my god, can you imagine?
I I
Steph?
I can, yeah, it would be really fucking hilarious. So I know that all the fucking weirdos out there are probably like praying for like a jewelry to show up in this film.
Oh yeah, all you, all you feet people.
Yeah.
Um, I would imagine that the Street Fighter movie, like Bison, has to be the villain, right? So I would imagine it's going to kind of focus on the. I would say it would be kind of like around the Street Fighter 4
Hmm.
timeline, right? Where you get characters that everybody knows. Bison is the obvious like bad guy, and because you can Street Fighter also has two main like story threads, right? Like the the Shadowloo versus like the UN with Chun Li and Guile, and you can throw and then there's the Dark Hado storyline with Ryu and Akuma, and Ken can be like the bridge between the two, and it can be done. It'll be done poorly, but it can be
Yeah, I'm gonna say. I wonder what odd professions they will shoehorn some of these characters
done.
into,
Right,
a la the
right.
1994 movie, which I still love.
Yeah, they were Ryu and Ken were con men, guys. They were con men.
Not until the end of the movie, and then they ripped off the Shadowloo badges on their gis, and all of a sudden they were
Yeah,
good guys.
and
So
Blanca was named Carlos Blanca. He was named
Charlie.
Carlos Blanca.
It's more of a Schwarzenegger, but you know.
Oh my god.
Matt Coco G asks, given how the comics based in and around Hotline Miami and Cyberpunk 2077 have been far better than they should, why hasn't Rockstar tapped anybody for GTA comics? Yeah, that's a good question, actually. GTA could make a good comic universe, potentially.
I think this is gonna sound weird, but I think it's a little too generic.
Yeah.
I think it's part of what makes GTA like really interesting is that it's a play on the real world with like really like colorful characters. But I I don't know. I don't know because like even stuff like James Bond comics, like yeah, they're set in the real world, but like I don't know. There's a slightly fantastical element about them where it's I don't know. Because GTA you can kind of go anywhere and do anything, and and me saying that you would think, oh well, then that's perfect because you can write like any story.
Hmm.
But like that's also the problem. Like it could just be any old story. Like it doesn't need necessarily the GTA branding. I'm having a difficult time figuring out what the medium of comics would bring to it.
You don't think you could do like a Trevor specific comic that would be interesting? The trials and tribulations of fucking Trevor. Because he's the most interesting like named character in that whole series that they put out so far, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's another thing. Like, are you going to do it based off of a previous character? Because, like you said, all of them kind of suck, right? Except for CJ is a very good everyman who
Mm-hmm.
kind of gets put in these situations, so maybe him. But you're right, Trevor is way more interesting. But I don't know, what kind of comic would you want, right? Would you want some like weird Mark Millar style, like edgelord bullshit? Like that's what a Trevor comic would be. I don't know. I don't know. That's my answer. I don't know. It could be done.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be too memorable though. But what do I know?
Finally, Cam says, or asks, if you had the pencil, who are you booking to win the Money in the Bank briefcases this Saturday on pay
Is
per
it
view?
this Saturday?
It is this Saturday, Mike. It's our favorite non core four pay per view of the year.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Hold on, let me look up who's gonna be.
So there's still one spot in each match that is TBD because there's qualifiers tonight. Pretty sure Drew McIntyre is going to be the guy who wins the men's one. I don't even know who's in the women's match tonight to qualify, but I don't think it matters either.
Who do you think is winning the women's match? Tiffany Stratton?
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah, I'm looking at these names. And,
or maybe an outside shot for Chelsea Green. I think it's got to. I think it's got to be a heel, either way.
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going to be one of those two, most likely.
I like the Money in the Bank concept. They got to figure out a way to retool it because, like, the Money in the Bank concept for right now, it's a heel gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
They've had faces, you know, try to cash in on people, but like they're a face, so they don't want to hit people while they're down, and like I'm gonna cash in on you on this day. Like, nah, yo, like that's not, you know, like we people like the surprise, right? People like the surprise. They like the idea of this albatross. They like it should be used as the sword of Damocles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and that's a heel thing. So when you look at a lineup, unless it's all heels, right? Like
Well,
who are you gonna?
it's funny. It's funny you say that because when I look at the men's match, even though Drew McIntyre is going to be in the match, most likely, I think LA Knight's probably the guy that is pegged for that. Like, I don't think it's going to be Jey Uso because he's already kind of had a couple shots at the top, and
I'm over the Usos. Bro.
you're over the Usos.
I've been over 'em. I've been over.
It's too early for Mello. I don't think Andrade's at that level yet. Chad Gable's an interesting person just because he's mixed up in all this Wyatt stuff so far that's been going on. But like I said, I think it's got to be. I think the men's match has got to be L.A. Knight, and then he can walk around and it works for him as a face because he's like a Steve Austin like anti-hero of sorts. Like he's not like a white meat baby face. Like he's L.A. Knight. You know, it wouldn't be out of character for him to come down and take advantage of somebody when they're on the mat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give it. Damn, I kind of want it to be LA Knight now. I like the LA Knight, and he's getting up there, man. He's like what, a year younger than me,
Yeah,
or something like that. He will be 3 years younger than me, and looking like that. The fuck am I doing with my but yeah, man, I kind of like LA Knight now. I kind of like LA Knight. If anything, is CM Punk like really hurt? Like, is he still recovering?
I don't think so. I think that the deal is that he's not ring ready yet, and so I think that they wanted to write him off until he's ready to actually have the payoff with Drew McIntyre, because you can only do this cock tease shit where CM Punk's being a dickhead so much until it gets kind of stale, and you needed to get some heat back on Drew a little bit. So I think they did that really effectively. By the way, a great stunning example of stuff that pro wrestling needs to learn more sometimes, where you don't have to show all the time. You can just you know, you can let people's imagination fill in the blanks. Film does this all the time, and it's very effective. You don't have to use it all the time, but it's good when it works. I could see Drew winning it in this case. It's possible, but again, I think that the money match is for him with CM Punk, obviously, and you don't need the title to be on the line to make that.
No, I would prefer. Yeah, I would prefer it's not on the line. This is a good old fashioned grudge match, and I only ask because, like, okay, well, what if CM Punk like does something to distract Drew, and they're like, "This is it. This is the last straw. I'm gonna kick your ass at fucking SummerSlam, and you better be ready or not. Like, I'm coming to get you, right? Like, fuck this. Like, it cost me too much, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking." But I'm just looking for a good showing from Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. Chad Gable's always good. Get the fuck out of here, J.O.P. and it's just me. Oh, shut up. That's a great fucking song, yo. That is right up there with I swerve and I drive because I swerve and I drive. Like, fuck that. Fuck that song. Fuck you. Get out of here, man. Is this it? Is it just 5 shows? Is this just 5 matches?
That's what they've been doing with most of the non-big pay-per-views. They're keeping them tight. Because it makes sense when you think about it, because that way you don't have just bullshit on your weekly shows. Like, you can have pay-per-view caliber matches on your weekly shows and then just save, and then give the matches on the pay-per-views more time to breathe, because you don't have a fucking 8 or 9 match card that you're trying to squeeze into 3.5 hours AEW.
Yeah, like, I don't need
14 matches.
Yeah,
for fucking Forbidden Door.
15 matches.
Get the fuck out of here!
Shit like that. Like, come on, yo. Like, I get it, right? Like, people are paying their $50 and they want, I guess they want to feel, but like, you can't like quantify it like that, right? Like, it's like trying to quantify how many hours did I play this game and did I get my money's worth? Like, did you enjoy it? Then it was worth it, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's how you need to treat. Don't quantify art. And I'm being the most generous I've ever been when I'm calling professional wrestling art. But like, you can't quantify art like that. Like, so I'm not saying you need fucking 10 matches. I'm saying, like, it feels like 6 or 7 is the sweet spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But again, with these being what they are, like, each of the ladder matches can go 30 to 45 minutes without sweating it too much. I would expect the 6-man tag to be a big slobber knocker, as JR would say, like a lot of around the arena bullshit. And you can give Priest and Rollins some time to cook. I don't think Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker is going to be a very long match.
Yeah.
So,
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we'll see. Look, I'm not advocating for, big 8-hour pay-per-views again.
Oh no, I'm super glad that they've trimmed that shit down, because I've got the Triple H era continues to be fucking awesome, because they actually, it seems like someone's been listening to the fans and their gripes for the last several years. So we'll see what happens. That is it for the post office, which means that is it for the show. Again, don't forget to sign up for our Discord at densepixels.com/fans. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube by going to youtube.com/densepixels. Subscribe to the other TNP Studio shows wherever you download podcasts. And don't forget to sign up for premium at densepixels.com/premium. It just costs you $5 a month to get access to the TNP premium slate of shows. And that's it. We made a meal out of this terrible week in gaming news. We did.
You are welcome.
Yeah, you are welcome. So that's it for us. We'll talk to you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching and listening.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here, and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.